One time for your mind, welcome back to the RedWine VC. Today I've got some really special guests with me, and we're about to do some very important delivery. So,
Hi, I'm Tanya.
And I'm Themba.
great.
So our topic today is, has our generation lost its faith in marriage?
Yeah. So, have we really lost our faith in marriages?
I think that's a very good question, but I think it's a 50-50
Okay.
based on the experience that I've had and the people that I have interacted with.
Okay.
I think it's a 50-50. There are people that have lost faith in marriage, and there are people that still have faith in marriage. Yes.
I think for me, to some extent, a greater percentage of the people yet unmarried right now have really lost faith because, again, the people I've interacted with, like for the past year or so, when we have such discussions, they mostly say, I don't think I'll be inside the marriage for this. So, to some extent, yes, a greater percentage has lost, and because of some few factors.
Okay, so not that I don't have faith in marriage, but I am gonna be like slicing everybody here. So for me, I
Dice
feel.
or slice us.
So for me, I think that a lot of us have actually lost faith in marriage. And I think one of the biggest reasons is social media. Like social media, everybody wants to do what everyone else is doing. Everybody wants to see, is Kim getting divorced to Kanye? Is Dr. Dre getting a divorce from his wife? So when we see all that, the people we idolize.
Yeah.
So when we see all that, obviously I'm gonna be like, okay, what's the point? If my favorite celebrity can have 3, 4, 5, 6 marriages and still live, why should I get married? If I can see my favorite celebrity having one child with this person, I mean, London on the track has one child with this person, one child with that person. I'm not saying that they're bad people.
Yeah.
But if I see that happening, what's the point?
But I think just to come in, I think social media will always be there. But the bigger question is, we really need to define what marriage is on our own basis. It's good to be inspired by certain people, but to be inspired for the right reasons.
And not being influenced by them negatively.
Yes. So a lot of people, a lot of people are getting married, yes, and some are getting married for the wrong reasons. And just because someone inspires you doesn't mean that you have to follow them even to the ditch.
Exactly.
So it's very much important that you can be inspired, but be inspired for the right reasons.
Yeah. But again, like, how can we dissect the whole marriage? What is marriage, or what's the purpose of marriage? Because I feel like people don't really know what marriage is, what the institution is, and what's the purpose for it. So a lot actually are not willing to go into it for various reasons. A lot go into it for the wrong reasons, actually. So at the end of the day, we see most of these social brands and social media personalities, they go into marriage, but then at the end of the day, we see it failing or not succeeding. And for me, I feel like for them to do it personally, for their marketing brands and everything, because the more clouds they get, the more things they do.
Yeah.
So it's only about the effect they have on us, because for them, I don't think they really want to get married to this person. It might probably be for brand reasons, for marketing reasons.
Okay, that's a good question. Where you asked to say, what is marriage really?
Yeah.
Because understanding of something is what defines pursuit.
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
understand something very well,
Yeah.
then you can pursue it well.
Exactly.
I think marriage in itself is one of the first institutions that was placed on the earth, where a man and a woman have to be united.
Yes.
So it's a picture of union.
Yeah.
And the essence of marriage is not only for procreation, That's one of them. But it's for growth. It's for fulfillment of purpose. That's why the woman was actually called a helper.
Helper,
yes.
exactly.
And you come to help because it's a particular assignment.
I think that's,
So union, the union between a man and a woman, yes, is for procreation and also for helping to fulfill a task or fulfill the vision that the man and the woman have.
Exactly.
Yes. So if that is understood, I really think it's going to help to shape the mindsets of the people as the reason as to why they are taking or why they want to get into marriage. Yeah.
And there are a couple of reasons why someone or people will not be willing to get married. And one, I think, would be wrong purpose or not knowing what its purpose is.
What exactly
mean, yeah. Two, feminism. That's going to be a topic probably for another day. But that's one. That's one. Majorly because I feel like the concept behind feminism has been manipulated. It has been sabotaged. Or it's for now it's solely as a sabotage, especially for women, because it has become. Especially there's this quote: "I don't need a man." And again, 70% of the people, 70% of the people I have had these conversations with about any relationships or marriages, especially those that have been hurt in the past, they finally end it with whatever. I don't need a man. So the only I feel like the only reason that statement was originated in the first place is because the start of feminism brought up this: you can do whatever a man can do. So it reinforced the light to equality in the sense of opportunities. And of course, we're all human beings. We must reach to this average height of where your purpose is. Everyone has a purpose. And a divine purpose, of course, and soul purpose. So your soul purpose is actually what you can achieve.
Yes.
So yes, a woman can achieve as much as a man can achieve. So in that light, a lot of people come out with thoughts and a lot of quotes and keep saying, no, you don't need a man. So now people subconsciously relate that to relationships. And that's how the "I don't need a man" has actually affected also, the whole society into the essence of being a factor of people losing faith in marriages. Another one would be, I feel like, the background of where we come from.
Yes.
And what we're seeing, the example we're seeing. So for me, those are like the four major factors of us losing faith in marriages.
I think just to come in, another aspect that has really contributed to a lot losing faith in marriages is divorce.
Yeah.
Because imagine you're growing up in a family where you're seeing your mother and father maybe fighting, and there's a whole lot of tension that is going on in the house. And one of the first institution of learning for a child is not school. It's not the church. It's the house.
It's the house.
Yes.
Exactly.
So even before you go outside, the confines and the proximity of your house is teaching you something.
A lot.
And sometimes teaching doesn't always come verbally. Sometimes it's through actions. So by you seeing how your father and mother are relating, you establish something to say, I think this is what marriage is.
Yeah.
But it's very much important to understand that our ability to see whatever is wrong should give us the ability to think that we can do right. So just because people can divorce, and this is evident, but we should have the confidence to say, I'm unique, and the person I'm going to be with is unique, and we can write a new story. Exactly. I think if people understand that, it's really going to be very much vital.
Exactly.
I feel like from what you're saying, since I'm also still against, you haven't convinced me yet. You still haven't convinced me. But from what you're saying, I feel most people are traumatized. Like you're saying that growing up in a home, sometimes we grow up in very loving homes. Some have loving homes. Some don't. Those people who don't have loving homes, where am I gonna get guidance?
Yes.
Who am I gonna go to if I'm going to come with somebody from, like, let's say, for example, I'm just giving an example. Like, I have maybe a single mother. How is she gonna tell me that, okay, you're going to get married, but I saw the trauma she went through. That's when that I don't need a man comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the same time, she went through something. That is why she is a single mother. And now I ask myself, okay, why do I need to get married? I mean, my mom she's a boss by herself, and she doesn't need a man, you know? That's when it all comes in, and whereby it's, you don't want to go through the same thing. And then you start, that's when the feminism like kicks in, and when it kicks in, it just doesn't kick in on 0. It goes to 100 real quick.
That's the
So that's why I'm still very strong.
In opposing to that, to address like both situations, because you guys really have said like the most important point in it, because it's the precedent that has been set prior. As you were saying, you have to come to a platform where you have to think and say, I want something else for myself. But there's this research that says a person's brain doesn't fully emotionally mature until after 25. You start to think properly now, properly as a human. Before getting to 25, there are a lot of things, and a lot of things you would have experienced, a lot of decisions you would have made personally. And like you said, a child learns first at the home or the house. You adopt whatever you see coming up. That's your normal.
Yes.
That's your normal. So whatever you see outside is foreign. Okay. For me personally, I wouldn't say lucky, but I am really looking forward to get married. Right? Yeah. And that's the journey I went. Yeah. Solely because I grew up in a home where mom and dad are married, and they've been married for a very long time. And they were happily married. I'm not saying they didn't have their ups and downs, but the most important thing, as you were saying, the Ezra, and she was very feminine. There's a difference between being like femininity and feminism. Feminine in the part where she knew her responsibility as a wife. And that was because probably she didn't go through whatever other people were going through. And okay, before I address that, let me just say that's the whole essence of the conversation, because we need to call our generation back and say, you know what, let's not adopt the trauma we've experienced, because what's that going to do is set another example for our kids, and the trauma continues.
I love that.
Yeah. So if we can address certain situations and say, okay, you know what, let's put a stop to it and see how many people we can convince and change and the mindsets and see things in a different perspective, so as to get children or bear kids that one day grow up traumaless and be very good people in society or have a healthy society. So, like I was saying, I grew up in that home where mom and dad were married, and that was my normal. So I've always been wanting to marry. I could remember back in 2014, my bro and I, Richie, we made a decision like our next relationship is going to be one that leads to marriage. Luckily for him, he's still in the relationship. Amazing. For some of us, things happen on the way. Yeah. So that was our sight set back in 2014.
That's a long time.
Long time. For him, he continued now because they have their sight sets on the same vision. Back in that day, my sight was, I want to get married, and because of what I grew up to. So my next relationship was searching or getting into a relationship with someone that we would get to go together, groom ourselves, you know, and develop ourselves together. So yes, that's another factor of it. But to your light, I understand the situation where you grew up in a home or someone, different people, well, a lot of us, sometimes it's a single dad, sometimes a single mom, but it's in our own responsibility now to change that light.
Yes.
Because the effect a home has on a kid, you wouldn't know until they've grown up. Then you'll know that the home has the primary effect on a kid or on a child or a girl.
I know Tanya wants to say something, but let me just come in. I think just to add on what you've said, it's very much important that we do not define life in the state of pain. For example, when a lady's heart has been broken, she's going to say, "All men are dogs."
Exactly, yeah.
And
Generalize.
yes, all men are dogs.
Yeah.
And after a certain time, you're going to meet her with one of the species that she called is a dog.
You know, yeah.
But what's going on?
Oh, yeah, like, auntie.
So the problem is in that dispensation, because she's defining things on the basis of pain.
Yeah.
So it's very much important that irrespective of what is going on, it's very much important that we do not give life definitions based on pain. It's very much important that we're not limited in how we define things. So someone like me, for example, I grew up in a home where my mother and my father divorced. But my perception of marriage is
still there.
I still
Yeah.
want to marry because
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm actually convinced to say, I can write a new story. There's a story that I heard of a man who was a drunkard and very lazy and had two sons. One son said, because my father is a drunkard and is lazy, I'll equally just be a drunkard and the lazy
yes.
guy.
Yeah.
The other said, because my father is a drunkard and lazy, I'm going to do better than my father. So life has so much to do with how we perceive things.
And your decision.
Yes, and then your decisions. So you cannot define your life based on your parents or your guardians. Yes,
yeah.
they are cardinal, but you equally have a new story to write.
But that's another thing. Our generation is very robotic. We literally do what we see and what we're told. So as much as we wanna take, like, for example, nowadays, why are people actually not wanting to get married? It's because one will tell you, a man will come tell me, oh no, I need to maybe have a BMW by the time I'm 25. No, you know what? If I start trading today, by the time I am next year, I'll have 50K.
But that's not wanting to get married.
But okay, from that, and then I'm like, okay, let's say that's my boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, aren't we getting somewhere? Like, and he's like, no, babe, we just need to get to 100K. He gets to 100K. No. So like, it's our generation. I don't feel like we have, what can I say? I don't feel like we have a limit. Everyone wants to just be successful, but at the same time, that success then ruins the whole mindset of wanting to getting married. Like, everyone wants to have money. Everyone likes flashy things. Don't tell me none of you wanna.
Definitely, of course. Like I'm saying, I fall in that category of someone saying I need to be in a certain stage before actually venturing into that institution.
But what if you get to that stage and then you tell yourself, no, but I got to that stage, but I feel like this apple's ripe, but I want the one that is on top of the tree.
I think guys should be very decisive. For me, I have goals in sight. I have a purpose I have to fulfill before actually getting married. Primarily because I have to be a provider. So it's not like I need to be in this stage, even for relationships. That's my stance on relationship. But if you find someone that really, really can be of help to you, that person can be a catalyst to your success.
Yes.
So, me personally, that's my side, that I have to be me. I have to develop myself to a certain height or stage before actually venturing into marriage. A guy who says he has to do that the same like I did, like I have set goals, and he actually, let's say for example, my goal is like 100K. A guy who has got to 100K and says he wants to be at 200K, he doesn't want to get married, he's just making excuses. And as a guy, you need to be decisive, you need to be assertive, you don't make excuses. If I'm saying I'm going to be when I reach this stage, I'm not going to be, I'm not saying I need to be all-round successful. I'm just saying I need to get to a place where I'm self-sufficient, and I know I can provide for 2 mouths, 3 mouths, or 4 mouths, like, the rest of the people behind, and extended family. Because marriage is not just your wife and kids. You have to adopt a lot of other things.
Yes.
And I don't want my kids to grow up in a home where it's stressful, that it's like, again, we just say marriage, but the concept of marriage comes with a lot of things. You need to be emotionally ready, mentally ready. and financially ready.
Yes.
Finance is
Finance
like
is
one
key.
of the biggest things, because at the same time, you know,
Yeah,
you want to have these children that
but
everyone
you have to provide for your children in a way where it doesn't affect them mentally again, because that's traumatic. So marriage or the home has a lot to do with producing kids or producing children that will be the leaders of tomorrow, but them being very good, healthy, and well beings of society.
I just wanted to come in on the aspect of finances. Is it that finances, when it comes to marriage, is the most important? What do you think?
It's not the most important. I feel like the most important is mental. Mental in the sense that I don't want to even put.
and emotional.
No, you're right, but I think we're trying to
you're
put them
just
in
like,
order.
okay.
Yes.
The most important is mental. Then would it be emotional, then financial. Mental for me in the sense that emotions are things that we feel in the moment. You have to love someone before actually getting into marriage, regardless of what people say. No one can convince me that, no, I don't have to love. You have to love that person, because there has to be a deeper reason, a deeper connection for you to actually venture in that institution. But you have to be willing to accept that love sometimes disguises. Love in the whole concept is about sacrifice, selflessness, and a lot more. So once you get into that realm of love, you never stop loving someone. So you have to be aware that it does fade at times, and that's because of waking up and living with someone every day, every time, because that's what people are most concerned of.
Like routine.
The routine.
The routine, yes.
So sometimes the attraction fades because sometimes everyone become lazy. You have to attract your guy, you have to attract your wife. Now, instead of living as couples or, husband and wife, some people tend to live as roommates, which of course that should be the comfortability, but there has to be an extent
It's
to
like
it.
test drive.
Yeah. so that's what I'm saying, mentally, because now you have to be mentally aware that, okay, you know what, I'm not attracted to my lady right now, or for the past 3 months I'm not. What should I do for me to reactivate or kick that attraction up again instead of infidelity?
I think just to come in on that, I think the problem when it comes to marriage and why maybe love comes to fade, is because when you see this lady, your heart begins to beat. You begin to pursue her, running towards her like Usain Bolt. You begin to pursue her.
Yeah.
Then the moment that she says yes, it's like that pursuit just shatters.
Just fades.
But if love should be refreshed on a daily basis, the
Exactly.
pursuit should never stop.
Exactly.
You keep on pursuing her each and every day.
Exactly.
I think then that eliminates the aspect of living like roommates, because every day it's as though you have this. I know this doesn't make sense, but it's as though you have this very thing, but again you have to get this very thing. So the pursuit should never end at whatever point. Yeah, it shouldn't end at whatever point. And then it's because maybe why at a certain point maybe love can seem to fade is because the definition has been love is an emotion. But love is a decision that has emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
Yes. So you should definitely make a decision to say, I want to be with this person irrespective of the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
So when that decision is set, then everything is in place. Because you always look back to the decision to say, I made a decision at this particular point. Because emotions can waver.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Emotions can
It's
waver.
something you feel right now. Because when you go home, you might feel something else.
That's true.
It changes.
Yes, because maybe you went with a lady out on a particular day. Her makeup was all
On
that.
point.
Yeah.
And
then you're like,
how's it called? There
Then when you're back,
Stars.
catfish.
I don't know when you get back home, it's like,
Yeah.
did I leave the person?
Yeah, was that
What happened? So at the end of the day, it's a decision that makes you to stay back.
Yeah.
It's a decision that makes you to stay where you are because you made a decision. And men that honor their decisions are men of honor and are men of value.
Of course, be decisive.
Men of value.
Be
How
assertive.
many men of honor are there nowadays?
We're
I'm
here.
Not, I'm not
Exactly.
slicing you men in general, but I'm just saying majority of men nowadays.
Yeah.
The main reason why I don't want to get married
Yeah.
is like we have a problem. Instead of you pursuing me or trying to come back to me, you swipe left or swipe right. And
Okay.
we all know what swipe left or swipe
Yeah.
should I explain? So basically
Got it.
I just get my phone and the next thing is I'm on social media.
Yeah.
I'm on all these relationship apps.
Yeah.
Instead of talking to my person, well, instead of the guy coming to talk to their person, they're now like, okay, a quick fix. I can just go left or right. On so many of these online platforms. And that's when for example, if you're like a side chick, you never have that in your mind that I'm gonna get married because you're like, what is the point if this guy can do this with me to her?
Yeah.
What stops someone doing it to me
Okay.
as the side chick or whatever, main chick or whatever the case may be? So at the same time, how many men of honor are there?